No one in the border villages spoke King Severin's name at full volume. They said it carefully, like a cracked cup that might break in your hands. Severin of the Night Court. Severin of the Black Citadel. The vampire king who never aged, never slept, and, so the story swore, never forgave. Children learned rules before letters. Don't wander past the last lantern, don't look toward the mountains when the moon is thin, don't speak the king's name in jest, because he might be listening. And yet the village survived winters that should have ended it. The river never froze solid. The orchard still bore enough fruit after late frosts. When wolves grew bold, they vanished from the roads without bloodshed, leaving only quiet. People called it luck. A saint's favor. Old wardstones buried in the earth. No one called it Severin's kindness. Kindness did not fit their fear. Ivy first heard his name whispered behind the apothecary's shop, where bundles of herbs hung like small sleeping birds. She was 16, and stained green from grinding leaves, quick-eyed and restless in the way of someone who listened too closely. That afternoon, the mayor's wife leaned in for a tonic and lowered her voice until it felt like a secret pressed against Ivy's ear. The king's riders were seen near the old bridge, she said. No torches. No sound. Just horses breathing like smoke. Mareen, the village healer who had raised Ivy, did not look up from her mortar. Riders don't always mean raiding. They always mean something, the woman insisted. He'll take someone when the snow comes. It's how they keep him satisfied. After she left, Ivy blurted, "Do you believe that?" Mareen wiped her hands, slow and thoughtful. I believe fear breeds stories. And stories sharpen fear. That is an old wheel. But is he real? Ivy asked, softer. Mareen's tired grey eyes held an honesty that made Ivy's chest tighten. Yes. He is real. And he is lonely. Lonely. A king feared by the world, lonely. Ivy carried the idea for days like a smooth stone in her pocket, turning it over when no one was watching. Winter arrived early. Snow fell like quiet ash. The wind worried at doors and shutters, and the village rationed firewood and hope. Mareen began to cough, small, stubborn sounds she tried to hide. Ivy heard everyone. It was the kind of cough that didn't leave. One night, a knock came at their door, soft and polite. Ivy woke with her heart already running. Knocks at that hour meant trouble. Mareen opened the door, pale in candlelight. A traveler stood on the step with his hood pulled low. Snow clung to his cloak. He didn't push inside, didn't demand, he only waited, still as if the air had learned to hold its breath around him. Forgive me, he said calmly. I need water. And a place to warm my hands for a moment. Mareen hesitated, then stepped aside. Come in. The traveler crossed the threshold without a sound that Ivy could measure. When he lowered his hood, his hair was dark with melted snow, and his eyes caught the candlelight like a night river catching the moon. Mareen poured water. The traveler accepted the cup but didn't drink. He held it to his palms, as if warmth was something he had to remember. You've come far, Mareen said carefully. Far enough, he answered. Then, as if stating the weather, you have taken ill. Mareen's shoulders tightened. Everyone takes ill in winter. Not like this, he said, not accusing, simply certain. His gaze shifted to Ivy. Not hungry. Not predatory. More like someone recognizing a page he hadn't expected to find. "You are Ivy," he said. Ivy's mouth went dry. "How do you know my name?" "In villages like this," he replied, "names travel on wind as surely as smoke." Mareen's voice thinned. "Who are you?" He paused. Ivy expected a lie. Instead, his face held a tired honesty, as if pretending had become heavier than truth. "Someone you have been warned about," he said. "I will not harm you." Something cold bloomed in Ivy's stomach, not from the words, but from the weight behind them. The riders at the bridge. Mareen's earlier whisper, real and lonely. Ivy looked at him again, and fear's title slid over his shoulders like a cloak. "Severin," she whispered. The candle flame shivered. The vampire king met her gaze, and the smallest shift passed through his eyes, sorrow, not anger, like hearing his own name spoken in a home hurt more than any blade. "Yes," he said. Mareen didn't scream. She didn't reach for the hearth knife. She only closed her eyes, like someone bracing for grief she'd already rehearsed. "We have nothing worth taking," Mareen said quietly. "No gold. No jewels. Only herbs and winter bread." Severin glanced around the small room, the dried plants, the honey jar, the patched quilt by the fire, as if he were looking at an old photograph. "I did not come to take," he said. "I came because you are dying." Ivy's throat tightened. "She's sick. She just needs time." Severin looked at Ivy with a gentleness that made her want to flinch. "Time is not always kind." Mareen opened her eyes. "What do you want, then?" Severin held the cup a moment longer, like he needed it to keep his hands human. "I want you to let me help." The words were so simple Ivy almost didn't understand them. "Help from a vampire king," Mareen said, bitter and afraid. Severin didn't bristle. "You think my hands only know how to take? I have spent centuries letting the world believe that, because it keeps them away." "Why keep them away?" Ivy asked before she could stop herself. Severin's gaze softened. For a moment he looked older than legend. "Because when people come close to what they fear, they either try to destroy it, or try to use it. Both are exhausting. Both leave little room for mercy." He reached into his cloak and drew out a small vial sealed with wax. Dark red liquid caught the candlelight. Mareen stared. "Blood?" "Yes," Severin said. "Mine." Ivy's confusion tangled with dread. "Why?" "It won't cure everything," Severin said, as if he'd heard her thought. "But it can strengthen a failing body. It can give her breath enough to see spring." Mareen's jaw tightened. "At what cost?" Severin's answer came soft and steady. "At the cost of my pride. At the cost of your fear. And at the cost of you owing me nothing." Mareen didn't move. The room held its breath with her. "You could be lying," she said. "I could," Severin agreed. "But if I wanted you dead, I would not need lies." Ivy realized then, he had come alone. No riders. No court. Just him, a vial, and an offer that could be refused. A feared king standing in a poor cottage like a guest who wasn't sure he deserved to be offered tea. Mareen's eyes slid to Ivy, then back to Severin. If I take it, she asked, voice tight, will you demand anything from Ivy? The way she said Ivy's name, like a shield, made Ivy's chest ache. Pain flickered across Severin's face. You think I came for the girl? Mareen didn't answer. Her silence did. Severin looked at Ivy again, and Ivy felt seen, not like prey, not like a prize. Like a person. I saw through your disguise before you did, Severin said quietly. Ivy blinked. What disguise? His gaze dropped to her wrists where her sleeves had ridden up. Faint old scars lived there, pale as winter threads. Mareen had always been careful about Ivy's past, as if it might shatter if handled. Severin's voice stayed gentle. You hide your questions behind work. Your fear behind usefulness. Your loneliness behind being needed. It is a clever disguise. But it is still a disguise. Heat stung Ivy's eyes. She turned her face away, furious at herself for feeling so exposed. Enough, Mareen snapped. Severin inclined his head, accepting the rebuke. I will not take Ivy, he said. Not now. Not ever. I did not come for that. Mareen's breath shook. Then why come at all? Severin's eyes caught the candlelight, silvered and reflective. Because years ago a healer sheltered a starving man who should have been her enemy. She gave him bread and let him sleep by her fire. She never asked his name. Mareen went very still. That kindness did not save my soul, Severin continued softly. But it kept me from becoming only the monster people needed me to be. Mareen's voice turned small. You were that man. Severin nodded. And you remembered, she whispered. I remembered, Severin said. For a long time. Mareen's hand trembled as she reached for the vial. Ivy moved to help, but Mareen shook her head and took it herself, choosing, not surrendering. She broke the wax seal. The scent that rose wasn't sharp or foul. It smelled faintly of winter berries and smoke, like a hearth after someone has stepped away. Mareen drank. For a breath nothing happened, then color returned to her cheeks the way dawn creeps into a gray sky. Her shoulders lowered. When she inhaled, it was deeper than Ivy had heard in weeks. Ivy let out a sound half-sob, half-laugh. It feels warm, Mareen murmured, stunned. Severin's posture eased, just slightly, like someone setting down a weight. I will leave before morning, he said. No one must know I was here. Why? Ivy asked. Because fear is a fragile wall, Severin replied, looking toward the window where snow whitened the night. If it cracks too suddenly, what rushes through can be worse than the fear. Mareen frowned. You want them to keep fearing you. His mouth curved into something like resignation. It keeps them from coming to the mountain with torches. It keeps them from offering their children to me in bargains I do not want. It keeps foolish rulers from believing they can control what they do not understand. He looked back at Ivy. You will care for her. Not a command. Not a question. A simple faith placed gently in Ivy's hands. I will, Ivy whispered. You are brave, Severin said. I'm not, Ivy answered quickly. I'm scared all the time. Bravery is not the absence of fear, Severin said. It is what you choose while carrying it. At the door he hesitated. Ivy found herself stepping forward. "If you've been keeping the river from freezing," she said, voice trembling, "and the wolves off the roads, we didn't know. We blamed you for every bad dream. But when good things happened, we called it luck." Severin's eyes held hers. There was no bitterness in them, only a quiet acceptance that hurt more than anger would have. "It is easier to blame a monster than to thank one," he said. Tears blurred Ivy's sight. "I'm sorry." "Do not waste your sorrow on me, Ivy," Severin replied gently. "Spend it on those you can touch." Mareen spoke as he opened the door. "What you gave me, will it harm you?" Severin's hand tightened on the frame. He could have lied. Instead he exhaled. "It will weaken me for a time," he admitted. "But I have been weak before." "You shouldn't have come," Mareen whispered. Severin looked back, and something in his face softened. "Yes," he said. "I should have. That is the difference." Then he was gone into the snow, and the door shut without a sound, as if the house itself wished to protect the quiet of his leaving. Days passed like a secret held carefully. Mareen's strength returned, slow as a tide. The village noticed and asked what miracle herb had saved her. Ivy smiled and said the mountain air had turned kinder. At night Ivy found herself watching the dark line of the peaks, not with fear but with an aching curiosity. Sometimes, when the wind was right, she thought she smelled smoke and winter berries. Near the heart of winter, wolves drew close to the outer farms. A farmer came back pale, swearing he'd seen eyes in the snow. The village gathered, fear quick to become anger. The mayor declared they should go to the old bridge with offerings, to beg the vampire king for protection. "Better to feed a monster than be eaten by beasts," he said, as if that was wisdom. Ivy felt sick. She pictured frightened children pushed forward like coins. That night she slipped out alone and went to the old bridge. The river moved dark and unfrozen beneath her feet. "I know you can hear me," Ivy said into the cold air. "Severin." Silence. Then, so soft she almost missed it, a footstep that didn't crunch. Severin stepped from the shadow of a bare oak. He looked paler than before, his eyes darker with exhaustion, but his voice remained calm. "You should not be here alone," he said. "Neither should you," Ivy answered, breath shaking. His gaze fixed on her. "You came to warn me." "They're going to come," Ivy said. "With offerings. With fear. Please, don't let them turn you into what they think you are." A quiet pain moved across Severin's face. "They have tried to bargain with me before," he said. "I sent the children back. Always." Ivy's chest tightened. "Can you stop the wolves without letting them come?" "Yes," Severin said. "Then do it," Ivy whispered. "Not for them. For you." For a moment his composure cracked, showing the tired man beneath the crown. "You think of me," he said, as if the idea didn't fit his life. "You saved Mareen," Ivy replied. "I repaid a debt." "It wasn't a debt," Ivy insisted. "It was a choice. You keep choosing." Severin's silence stretched, then he nodded once. "I will keep them away. When the village tries to come, a storm will turn them back. They will believe it is my warning." "A storm?" Ivy asked. "The mountain listens to me," he said softly. It always has. And what will it cost you? Ivy asked. His gaze held an apology. More than I would like to give. Then don't, Ivy pleaded. I will, he said simply. Because I am tired of standing in their fear and becoming what they need me to be. Ivy stepped closer, stopping at the edge of his shadow. You don't have to be only a story, she whispered. Severin looked at her a long time. Then he lifted his hand toward her cheek, but stopped just short of touching, as if permission mattered more to him than power. I saw through your disguise, he said again, voice like snow falling. But I chose mercy. Mercy for what? Ivy asked, tears rising. For the part of you that wanted to be reckless, he said. For the part of you that wanted to walk into a legend and demand it be human. His hand lowered. Go home, Ivy. Let your kindness stay alive. Ivy wanted to argue, but the exhaustion in his face made her swallow the words. She nodded, tears slipping free. As she hurried back, the wind rose. Snow thickened until the world blurred. The storm arrived clean and strong, erasing tracks, closing roads like a gentle door. For 3 days it held. No one could reach the bridge. No one could climb the mountain with offerings. And the wolves vanished from the outskirts without a single cry. When the skies cleared, the village stepped out blinking, marveling at the drifts. They'll say the king did it, Ivy murmured beside Mareen. Mareen nodded. Yes. They will fear him for it. Ivy's chest ached, but the ache had changed. It had become steadier. What if he doesn't mind being feared, Ivy whispered, as long as it keeps them safe. Mareen squeezed her hand. That is the heaviest kindness, she said. The kind that asks for no thanks. Spring came slowly. Mareen grew strong enough to laugh again. Ivy returned to gathering herbs by the thawing river. One evening Ivy found a small bundle on the windowsill, wrapped in dark cloth. No note. No mark. Only the faint scent of smoke and winter berries. Inside were rare seeds, mountain lilies that bloomed after hard winters, herbs that eased fevers, golden wheat that grew in poor soil. Ivy's hands trembled as she held them. Mareen stood beside her, and together they let the silence speak. He won't come again, Ivy whispered. Maybe not where he can be seen, Mareen replied. The village kept its stories. Children were still warned. The king was still blamed for nightmares and never credited for mercy. But Ivy planted the seeds behind the apothecary. And each time a sprout broke the soil, she thought of a solitary figure walking through snow without a torch, carrying help in his pocket and asking for nothing in return. Years later, travelers still spoke of the vampire king with trembling voices. Yet other rumors drifted too, quieter ones, easily dismissed because they didn't fit the fear. A lost child found sleeping safely under a pine, wrapped in an unfamiliar cloak. A hunter's trap sprung harmlessly, dismantled by unseen hands. A famine eased by sacks of grain left at midnight like the earth itself had given early. No one thanked Severin. No one dared. But Ivy, older now, sometimes stood on the old bridge and spoke his name into the wind, not like a challenge, but like a prayer for someone who could not step into the light. And in the river's soft, unfrozen rush, she understood something the village never could. That behind the crown of night and the stories sharpened by fear, there lived a quiet, weary heart that kept choosing protection over pride, mercy over power. True kindness, she learned, can exist behind fear, humble enough to do its work in silence.